Good evening, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Against the Public for June 8th. I'm Dana Lane. Today, as usual, we'll go through my Major League Baseball free plays, and of course, we'll wrap it up with today's handicapping tip. An interesting suggestion that we were really able to sink our teeth into, and we'll talk about the effects of weather on Major League Baseball totals, whether it's temperature or wind, specifically when it's blowing out. It's very interesting results. After the show, please go to Pickdawgz.com, where I'll have my premium Major League Baseball plays locked and loaded. And of course, we will also have side and total in tomorrow night's or tonight's Stanley Cup Game 1 NHL Finals between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. It's been a long day. Jump on my single plays or my Major League Baseball 3-pack for just $49.99. Every single play, every 3-pack comes with our Pick Dawgz win guarantee that states you must profit or receive an immediate site credit for the purchase price. Also, there's only one way to get every play I release, whether it's Major League Baseball, the NHL, NBA, upcoming NFL preseason, college football. Get every play that I release for one low price, and that's to simply become an all-access member. And you could do that for the next 30 days for less than $11 a day, the next 90 days for less than $10 a day, or jump on an annual all-access pass for just $3.56 a day. Also, I have prorated my Major League Baseball season pass, so that's up on the website right now. Also, I have an NBA Finals and a Stanley Cup package as well. You get every side in total in the finals in the NBA, and you get every side in total in the NHL. One caveat to that, as we talked about yesterday, if I like a side but it's minus $1.60, I'm not going to send that out. You'll definitely get every total, but we want to make sure that we're sending out quality plays and not something that's going to rip your bankroll apart. Over the last 30 days, guys, in the NHL, if you've been following me, 64% winners. That's number one amongst cappers with at least 25 plays. 64% winners in the NHL. So make sure you jump on that. I've told you this before. It doesn't matter where the money comes from as long as it does. And we are building bankroll right now for football season. And of course, we've had a tremendous NBA season. So jump on all those plays tomorrow. The whatever you want, I will have up on the website, whether it's baseball, the NBA, or the NHL. I won't have NBA tomorrow, but we'll have the NHL for sure. Okay, let's roll our sleeves up. Let's get to work onto our free plays for Saturday. Remember, these are probable pitchers, so check and recheck in the morning, because these have to be put out 20 hours before game time. So just recheck, but I do think that we're good on all three of these games. First game, 4:05 Eastern Time, 9:03, 9:04 is your rotation number. Atlanta Braves minus $1.44 on the road, 8.5 under, minus 15 against the Washington Nationals. Charlie Morton against Mackenzie Gore. We saw today the Braves dropped a 2-1 decision as a $2.10 favorite, which is why we don't send those out to the Nationals. Just 6 hits for the Braves tonight. That makes just 14 hits over the last 3 games and 29 hits over the last 5 games. That averages out to be just 5.8 hits per game and 3.4 runs per game, which also includes an 8 spot against the Boston Red Sox on June 4th. So you take that out of the equation, it's ugly for Atlanta. Of course, it's not like the Nationals have been tearing it up, just 8 runs in their last 4 games combined, adding to a season where they're 24th in runs, they're 26th in hits. Not a great offensive club in Washington. They will face Charlie Morton, who is arguably coming off his best start of the season against the Oakland Athletics, where he allowed no runs in 6 innings and just 1 hit in that game, and that was a 3-1 win for the Atlanta Braves. Using tonight's number, which is 8.5. The under has cashed 7 of 11 games of the last 11 starts that Morton has made. So that's pretty good. That's going in our direction. And one other little caveat to this, we know that Mackenzie Gore is not coming off his best game against the New York Mets. But if you throw that out of the equation, before that start, He allowed just 11 earned runs in 38 and 2/3 innings. That's a 2.56 ERA. So pretty good. Willing to throw that start against the Mets out the window. We're going to go under the total, 8.5 minus 15. Game number 2, 7:35 Eastern Time, 9:29, 9:30. Los Angeles Dodgers against the New York Yankees. Yankees minus $1.25. Home favorite. 8.5 over minus 15. Gavin Stone against Nestor Cortez. What a start to this series last night. A terrific pitching matchup between Yamamoto and Poteet. And then, of course, the bullpens came in, and they were terrific as well. Pitching was on display last night. I think offense is going to be on display tonight. Juan Soto's day-to-day, if you listen to Aaron Boone in his scrum before the game, of course, Soto's not going to have to spend any time away from the team on the IR, but it is a day-to-day with that inflammation in his forearm. So check on that. But he did not rule out that he would return to the lineup. So maybe we'll see him tomorrow. Maybe we'll see him Sunday. We'll see. But it was not clear. But what was clear is that he won't have to spend any time on the IR. This number, to me, this total seems a little bit suspect, considering we're looking at another terrific pitching matchup between Stone and Cortez. I would have thought that this number was going to be around 8. 8.5 looks a little bit suspect to me, which makes me think that we're on the edge of a trap here. I feel like my gut is telling me that they want us to go under the total. We're going to go over that 8.5 minus 15, and if they wanted us to go under the total or over the total, they certainly wouldn't have put any. They would have put the minus $1.15 on the over. It would be on the under, but it's on the over, which tells me that they have their thought process, or that they're leaning on that over as well. So we're gonna go with them in that one. And then our third game, 10:07 Eastern Time, 9:19, 9:20. Houston Astros against the Los Angeles Angels. Hunter Brown against Tyler Anderson. Houston minus $1.60 on the road. 8.5 is your total. Early betting shows that the public is on the over in this one, so you should get this as early as possible, because we don't want to give up any juice right now. It's $1.10 each way, but betting patterns kind of indicate that we might see $1.15 to the over at some point. And Hunter's been pretty good over his last 3 starts, but to me, guys, that does not wipe the taste out of my mouth of what I've seen from him all season. He's given up 62 hits in 55 1/3 innings. That's not a hit to innings pitch ratio that I want to get involved in. The average runs scored in his starts this year is 9.42, but he's had 2 or 3 good quality starts now, and if you take them out of the equation, that number goes from 9.42 to 10.78, almost 11 runs per game. That's where I still think he is. This, again, is another number that smells like a trap from a distance, because of Brown's recent success and the fact that Tyler Anderson has been absolutely terrific this season. 5-5, 2.37 ERA on the Angels is almost Cy Young worthy with that team and their offense. But the former All-Star has allowed just 4 earned runs in 26 and 2/3 innings, and that's in his last 3 starts, which the average total score in his last 3 starts has been just 3 runs. Yep, that's right. Over his last 3 starts, check the numbers. Average game total, just 3 runs. This is not a total that reflects where both pitchers are, but it does indicate to me that someone thinks that Brown is not quite over his troubles, and I also agree with that. Angels' pen is not to be relied on, despite some success against the San Diego Padres. But again, that one series, one game does not take away what I know about the bullpen. We're going to go over the total of 8.5. And before we close the show out today, here's your handicapping tip for Saturday. Today we're going to focus on weather. And I wanted to thank For the Doggies Guitar 2277 on, I think he was on, I forgot what platform I got that on, but it was good. It might have been a Twitter message or whatever, but maybe it was on YouTube. I think it was on YouTube. And a really good question on this. And he talked about the temperature and wind speed, which always was intriguing when we're talking about totals. But I don't think the numbers are going to play out the way you think they're going to. In 2024, and we're just going to start it off talking about average temperature during the game. That is the average temperature between the start and the finish. So that doesn't mean, I mean, you know what that means. Okay, so 36 to 49 degrees. The over-under this year is 5 and 5. I'll throw that out. 50 to 59 degrees average temperature. The under is 109 and 104. Of course, we're throwing any pushes out the window too, so we're not adding those onto the numbers. 60 to 69 degrees, under is 145 and 120 this year. Now it starts to change. When we get to the 70 to 79 degree mark, the over is 145 and 136. 80 to 89, the under comes back, 40 and 36, and 90 plus. We've had 16 of those games so far this year. The over is 9 and 7. Now, if you want to break this down even further, I would say that 80 to 89, where the under still is 40 and 36, we'll see as we move forward in this. Well, I think those numbers are going to change and move towards the over as, of course, the humidity goes up and the summer goes on. Numbers over the last 3 years, 20 to 29 degrees, 7 and 6 to the over. That's since 2013. They don't play in 20 to 29 degrees very often. 30 to 39 degrees, the over is 9 and 11 since 22. 40 to 49 degrees, the over is 83 and 107 since 2022. 50 to 59, over 337, 383. That's pretty significant since 2022. And 60 to 69 degrees, 580 to 669. So heavily favors the over in the last 3 years, but heavily favors the under over the last 3 years. But this is where it changes again. We're still getting into that 70 degree mark, where it's 70 to 79 degrees. The over now flips 941, 920. Humidity starting to go up. 80 to 89 degrees, 586, 592. That favors the under there, but the caveat to that is I think 2024 is dragging that down because we haven't got to the summer months. But once we do, I expect that to move in the over direction as well. 90 plus, 178 and 160. That is a total of 1,705 to the over, 1,672 to the under. So that's what, 33 games to the over when it gets hotter. So yes, I guess you can say hotter temperatures are going to spark the totals to go over because you have high humidity places, St. Louis and Texas. I mean, the balls are going to fly out of there in the summertime. But I would say this, that I don't think it's as cut and dry. I thought we were going to see when it got to like 60 to 69, then we're going to start to see things change. But wow, it's pretty significant to the under. 89 games to the under over the last 3 years when it's 60 to 69 degrees. It's pretty interesting. But of course, it does change when it starts to get hotter. Okay, so now when we change it to wind, and this is the average wind speed blowing out, not swirling, not coming in, not sometimes blowing out. It is average wind speed blowing out. And when it's 5 to 10 miles an hour, and this is since 2022, the under is 362 and 331. Again, heavily favoring the under despite the wind blowing out. 10 to 15 degrees, the under is 127 and 107. 15 to 20, the under is 11 and 9, and 20 plus, well, that goes to the over 2 and 0. That's pretty interesting. I would suspect that most people would think that the over would be the dominant number once you got into maybe that 10 to 15 range, but that's not the case. Let's go to Wrigley Field, which is a field that a lot of people say, okay, well, they'll look at wind factors at Wrigley Field. And this is interesting since 2022. When the wind is blowing out 5 to 10 miles an hour, the over is 3 and 6. When it's 10 to 15 miles an hour, the over is just 5 and 8. 15 and 20, 2-2, 20 plus 1-0. This really indicates to me that the wind doesn't blow out at Wrigley as much as people think. And since 2022, we've only had 22 games where the wind's been somewhere between 5 and 15 miles an hour. And keep in mind too, this is an average wind. So we might get a 15 mile per hour gust, and then for the next hour, it's 0 to 3, which combats that a little bit. But that's an interesting number. So just 27 times over the last 3 years that the average wind speed was 5 miles per hour or more. So where did the notion come from about the wind at Wrigley Field? Well, if you go way back, way back 2005, between 2005 and 2021. The over at Wrigley was 92 and 66 when the average wind speed was more than 5 miles an hour. So that's where people started to think in their mind, oh, okay, that's pretty interesting. But between 2005 and 2011, the over was 34 and 11. So now, and I know it's a lot of numbers, so let's break it down. Between 2012 and 2024, when the wind speed was 5 miles an hour or more, the over is 27 and 26. Between 2019 and 2024, it's 27 and 27. I don't think a lot of people would have suspected that. So wind speed really has nothing to do with the total. And you also have to keep in mind too that the wind speed or the factors, the weather factors, are already built into that number. So you almost don't have to further handicap unless you're, looking at 11s or 11 and a halves or 12s, which is, kind of Coors Field numbers. But it is very interesting. So between 2005 and 2011, I think that is where people started to get the idea of check the wind at Wrigley, and that is the over was 34 and 11. But if we expand that, as I said, if we expand that to 2005 to 2021, yes, that was still to the over, but it was much more evened out after 2011. So don't go overboard with the notion that you must bet overs when the wind is blowing out. In fact, I've had a chance to break down where the wind is the most effective, or where, when the wind is blowing out. The over at Baltimore over the last 3 seasons is 13-5-1. At Philly, it's 18-11-2, and in San Diego, when the wind is blowing out more than 5 miles an hour on an average, it's 7-1. Now the worst parks, this is interesting too, all in California. San Francisco, the over is 55-71 when the wind is blowing out more than 5 miles an hour. You wouldn't think that. Los Angeles Dodgers, 21-44. Los Angeles Angels, 57-64. There's only really one conclusion that I can draw from all these numbers, and that is the fact that we cannot overreact when we see the wind going out. No more than we can overreact when we see an abundance of snow on the field, and the total is, this year, whether we saw, totals in the 30s, and we can't overreact to that because it's already built into the number. So that's what I got out of all of that research, and it was pretty cool to look at. But it is interesting that San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Anaheim are the worst teams to bet overs in, or the worst stadiums to bet overs when the wind is blowing out. Very interesting. I don't know, maybe the ball dies there. I never thought that about San Francisco, but those are 3 parks, and they're, right on, well, 2 of them are on the water. Really, Anaheim is too. It's not too far away from Huntington Beach. So parks that are on the water, I don't know. I mean, Philadelphia is or Baltimore is right on the water too. It's interesting. Anyway, I'm sure it has more to do with dimensions and all kinds of, quality of pitching over the last 3 seasons as well. I'll get into that someday. I have to go to bed at some point. Okay, if there was anything you would like me to research, please drop me a line, comment on YouTube. I will get to it if I have the numbers, and I have a lot of numbers, so pretty much anything you can throw at me we'll find. that does it for your Saturday free plays and your tip. I really need some water at this point. Please go to pickdawgz.com. Get involved with one of my many available packages, including my all-access pass that gives you every game I release for one low price. Here's your Saturday recap. Atlanta, Washington, under 8.5 minus 15. Dodgers, Yankees, over 8.5 minus 15. And Houston, Los Angeles Angels, over 8.5. And that does it for today's show. Thank you for everybody who continues to watch on a daily basis. Hopefully it didn't bore you too much. If you have any questions about that, specifically about the tip, just throw them on YouTube and I can research your question or I can go over a question with you. I love to talk about that stuff. It's pretty fun. And of course I love to talk to everybody who wants to drop me a message on YouTube. So for Against the Public, I'm Dana Lane. All the best to you and your wagers on Saturday.